Good morning on Tuesday, December 5th. It's episode 327 of the 359 podcast. I'm BVG, and your hosts today are Alfred and Roger Cheng. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning.
So we're going to be talking about, we're getting to the end of the year, so we want to sort of take a look back at some of the big trends of 2017. First off, we'll be talking about security and how it just sort of sucked.
Yeah, 2017 was not a good year.
Yeah, and then we'll be looking ahead at 2018, and surprise, surprise, things are going to get even worse. We'll offer some tips and suggestions on what to do both this year and next year. And then we're going to be talking about Google, Facebook, and Twitter, and how this is kind of the year where like everyone sort of turned on them. It felt like, I know you were already kind of not in the pro Google, Facebook, Twitter camp, but I feel like this year everyone just decided these guys are kind of.
2017 was a major heel turn for the,
there you
the
go.
entire
Way to
internet.
pull that wrestling reference. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Brian will pick out the best, and we will try to answer them in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
From 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Alfred.
We're getting to the end of the year, which gives us a chance to reflect on 2017. And wow, were things bad from a security front. We saw a big security breach or hack in every month through November, and our own Laura Hatala predicts things will get even worse in 2018. Alfred, you wrote the big kind of piece looking back at 2017. What were some of the big lowlights for you?
Well, this one sticks out in particular to me just because it's so fresh, but Apple with its root issue.
Oh, yeah.
Where you could type in root as a username and not require a password. They've since patched it, but there's also been a lot of reports about how the patch doesn't entirely work. But that to me is a major low point for security, only because it's such a high profile issue that had it was so exploitable. It was so stupid.
Although to be fair, you physically had to be in front of the machine for that to work. I mean, I'm surprised you didn't mention Equifax. For me, that's sort of the no-brainer.
Yeah, that would be the other one.
Right, just losing your social security information is never a good thing.
Yeah, and just the issue with that, though, in terms of security was that, this was taken based off the Apache Struts exploit, which had been warned, the Equifax had been warned about in March, and they were supposed to patch it. I think that's the crux of a lot of security issues that you see from the past year.
Human error, right?
Essentially, yeah, nobody is patching these things, or people are making these very small mistakes. You look at WannaCry, another security low point that had happened. That had also been patched by Microsoft, but it also targeted really old computer systems that you found in hospitals, universities, ATM machines that just never updated. So yeah, you can attribute a lot of that to just lack of patching.
So sadly, it's not really the computers that are failing us; it's us that's failing us.
To update the computers. Yeah.
And then, so I mean, what are some of the tips and advice that you'd offer to our viewers or listeners on how to protect yourself?
Well, taking a look at all the points that I just made, I think the biggest issue that you want to take here is to patch your systems as soon as they're available. I know a lot of people often look at updates and don't know what they're for or anything like that. To be fair, it's not explicitly stated in these updates, but most of the times they're to fix security issues, and you should handle that as soon as you can. Kind of avoid suspicious looking emails. A tip that I had heard essentially is don't click on links in emails and just kind of go to the website yourself.
Right.
Other people for security breaches, like if they lose your birthday or if they lose your address or anything like that, they've suggested putting a fake birthday on Facebook or anything like that to kind of prevent that.
It's really to test my real friends.
Yeah, that.
Well, beyond some of the other, Laura had a couple of good tips, right? Use two-factor authentication. This is really dumb, but back up your information, back up your photos. Don't just rely on passwords, and just generally use common sense, right?
Yep, essentially.
All right, so continuing with our retrospective theme, we wanted to talk about Rich Nieve's look back at Google, Facebook, and Twitter this year. It's really, 2017 was a year that I think a lot of people kind of turned on these companies. They're sort of held up as the bastion of our future, our potential, right? Silicon Valley is this great thing, and really, over the last couple of months, I mean, they've been taking a pounding, right?
Yeah, I mean, for a while it had exclusively been Twitter. Twitter had been kind of the piñata of sorts of these things.
It's where racists and bullies and cyberbullying all happen. Yeah,
and a lot of people were harping on Twitter, and then it had come out that this kind of abuse was also happening on Google and Facebook, particularly with Google on YouTube. And this isn't even, international espionage stuff. It's more like there was the child abuse platform that was going on YouTube and all these issues. And the idea is, like, these platforms have gotten so large that they can't police themselves to this degree anymore.
Right. And I mean, look, we didn't even bring up Russia, which, I mean, they'd spent hours testifying before Congress, was trying to explain themselves, really not really doing a great job of it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, like I said, is because like they've grown like way too big to manage everything on their platforms.
Yep. All right, for those stories and more, check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Alfred Eng.
Thanks for listening.
So I always follow that rule about checking or not clicking the link in the email. That's I don't know. That always seemed like common sense to me.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. That's the conclusion of the recording of the podcast. I'm going to go ahead and start digging back through the chat and find good questions and commentary. In the meantime, let's give everybody 3 great tips for not getting hacked in 2018.
Yeah, what are like the 3 like really basic bullet points?
Usually when I think of tips, I think of
do
things
this,
that
don't
you
do
can that like anybody can do. I mean, if you want like advanced tips, using VPN. But
what
like,
are the 3 tips that anyone
you should
can
it's like these are tips that I think are like as easy as like flipping a switch on or something like that. So like using 2-factor authentication if it allows for it.
Yes.
Imager had gotten hacked recently and I got particularly annoyed because they don't allow for 2-factor authentication. So I just changed my password on it, but it's still frustrating that
the good
there's
thing
certain websites
is
that do that.
It's a good thing is a lot of bigger services do offer 2-factor authentication now.
Essentially use a password manager if you can. LastPass offers like a free service for that kind of stuff. You don't have to be bogged down remembering your passwords, and it creates a difficult and unique password for a lot of websites to develop. And avoiding phishing emails. I would say that's where maybe like 95% of attacks are coming from. So you essentially just want to keep a careful eye on those things. There are a lot out there that are so difficult that sometimes even experts can't like tell the difference between what's legit and what's not. But the clicking, like just going straight to the website itself as opposed to clicking on the link, is a pretty useful tip for that. So that even if it looks exactly like something you think you would receive, you're still not like falling for it like through your email.
Totally.
Yeah.
What about being a Nokia 3310? Because there is a sentient Nokia 3310 in the chat that says, I can't be hacked.
I'm sure it can.
I mean, it can, but it's not really worth hacking. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could get contact
Unless you're talking about like physically
steal
hacked,
somebody's snake score.
I think,
my snake score's sacred.
I think it's indestructible though. So if somebody tried like hacking at it with like an axe or something, I think the axe would break.
I don't think
first.
it's indestructible, but yeah, it definitely would. It'll last longer in drop tests than an iPhone, for instance.
Well, I mean, nothing's indestructible on a literal and figurative speech or consideration. But what about big servers? Pele says, won't quantum computers take care of security soon? Making big servers, they're nearly unhackable. And I don't know if he's being sarcastic or not.
I also don't know enough about
I don't know enough about
quantum
computing. That's really a specialty for our colleague Stephen Shanklin, who would probably be able to answer that. I would say no matter how fast or how powerful these computers are, like I don't think anything is 100%.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. A lot of hackers, they're not targeting this like the hardware itself. They're kind of targeting dumb people.
Yep.
Like if you have a quantum computer and you're using Gmail on it and you click on a link with malware on it, it's not exactly they get the malware on your computer. It's more you type your password in, and then it's not like they need to be on your computer to get to your email address.
Right. They're basically going after the weakest link. I think that's what happened with the HBO hack, right? Like it wasn't HBO's internal systems were breached.
They targeted like low-level staffers.
Exactly.
Yep.
A lot of chatter going on about password managers in the chat right now. Michael Brown does say that's kind of a bare minimum. That's a no-brainer. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Michael. Let's recommend a couple. I use LastPass.
Yeah.
Yes.
I recommend LastPass just because it's free.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't feel like paying for it.
Roger, any others?
I use LastPass as well.
Yeah,
so.
I think a lot of us here in the CNET office do. So that's not a full endorsement by any means necessarily.
No.
We're just fans, and it is free.
Just gonna collect my check.
LastPass has been
right
hacked
now.
though. That's the thing.
But you just said nothing is indestructible.
Yeah. Exactly.
Matthew Datch, I just liked this comment, and Datch is always a highlight in the chat. We might as well just start walking around naked, considering how much information the hackers already have about us.
I already do. I mean,
By the way, don't tune in tomorrow. All right. Muhammad, can someone eventually hack blockchain? That's a little over my pay grade.
Yeah, same here. Alfred?
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I know.
It's a good question, though.
I mean,
we might not have the information for that.
That's a very vague question. That's it's like kind of like asking can somebody hack math or something? It's hard to hack blockchain.
Yes, you can
I don't know what
hack
you
math.
mean. I mean, I guess if you're talking about Bitcoin, then yes, because that's already happened.
Right.
And there's a lot of malware out there now that's targeted toward Bitcoin wallets and basically setting up so that your computer is mining Bitcoin for them and things like that. So if you're talking about using blockchain in malware, then yeah, that's happened. Yes.
Michael Brown also says, don't click on ads. A lot of ads can be harmful.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Also, just don't click on ads in general,
Yeah,
unless they're on
you really
CNET.com, where we make money for it. In fact, just go on our website right now and just click on several ads if you can. But yeah, I've never clicked on an ad on a website. I mean,
I've clicked on referral link ads, when I pull up searches from Google.
Yeah, from CNET.com and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But banner ads, I'm not a big fan. Unless
Yeah.
I'm the only time I click on a banner ad is I did it by accident.
I've
I meant to click on a link, I somehow hit the stupid banner ad.
I've seen ads and I've oh, cool, hot singles in my area. Let me Google it. I don't click on it.
I mean, I got these really cool toolbars installed. They help me find things and get the weather. So I don't know what you're all complaining about.
Yeah, this little purple gorilla just pops up on my desktop all the time.
Yo, let's talk about that. I miss that, dude. That was fun back in the day. I know it was a danger zone, but when I was 14 years old, I did not know
I
that.
was so dumb for
Oh,
installing
yeah.
But that thing was fun.
I remember seeing it on my aunt's computer or something. I was like, whoa, that's hella cool. How do I get that on my computer? So I Googled it and I put it on my computer. I'm like, oh.
Listen, that was arguably the smartest malware ever because it totally it was
Clearly it works
It was like
so
putting
well.
bleach in a candy dispenser and getting kids to just chug it. That
man.
was the best. Oh,
I felt so stupid.
so did I. Christopher Osborne, this is a great question. Do you think there should be some sort of legislation that requires companies to have a certain level of security in place, depending on the type of information they collect from customers?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
Ooh.
there's actually legislation being proposed for that right now. There's a secure IoT bill from Senator Mark Warner of Virginia. It's also co-sponsored by Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon and Senator Maggie Hassan from New Hampshire. Essentially, it's requiring a baseline level of security for IoT devices that the federal government buys. And you might think, oh, well, how does that affect me if I go buy a smart camera from Best Buy or something like that? The idea is that the federal government actually uses a ton of IoT devices when they're collecting data from street lights, the ocean, and research and things like that. The premise is basically because the federal government purchases so many IoT devices that it's eventually gonna influence the market to just create secure IoT devices in general. So everybody would have to buy secure stuff. So there's that bill. There was another bill that was proposed I think sometime last week, essentially requiring jail time for company CEOs if they don't disclose breaches
Really?
within a certain
actual
amount of
jail
time.
time? Usually it's liability in terms
Yeah.
monetary-
This bill would suggest jail time for them.
Wow.
I'm in favor.
I can't imagine that'll go through, though. There's so many lobbyists that would stop that.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of IoT devices, you've done a lot of research and had a lot of experience with smart home devices and hacking potentials, and we've seen a lot of that get debunked. And what would be some good advice for people looking to protect themselves before legislation is there to protect them?
You should stick to big name brand ones. I know that it's very enticing to buy,
It's a get what you pay for situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it's very enticing to get a cheap off-brand IoT, I don't know, light bulb or anything like that because it's half the price. But the idea is the security really isn't there for that. I personally always want to, when I'm looking at IoT stuff, buy from a company that I know has a lot riding on its name.
Yeah.
That's most of the IoT devices at home are from Google or Amazon. Because, like I said, they have a lot riding on this.
Sure.
And, there's a lot more at risk for them to lose if they eventually do get hacked. I think there's a pretty good reason why for the Echo being as popular as it is and being out as long as it is, that we haven't heard of any kind of like major vulnerabilities like happening with the Amazon Echo. It's a different story about the smart key thing though, but that was like we had written a story about it.
The Amazon key?
Yes, with the camera, the smart doorbell, where they were able to get it disconnected from the Wi-Fi briefly. Yeah. But once that happened, it doesn't shut off. It just leaves the screen for what it is. So theoretically, somebody in a demoed attack, they showed it where it's like they froze it, and then they just opened the door, went in and stole something, and then went back out. It's like the digital equivalent of like putting a photo up like to the camera.
Right.
Yeah.
Needless to say, the big concern with getting hacked is not somebody controlling your home devices in a Gremlin-esque type montage, rather the loss of identity and therefore loss of funds.
They use that. It's basically the weak link to get into the home
I know.
Right.
I know that that's like a major concern for a lot of like security researchers that I've spoken with. At least it's not the idea of them like just making things terrible for you. It's more so just about like extortion.
See, that's the kind of hacker I would be.
In a way,
I would just prank
people.
Just
mess with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the idea is that like, oh, they're gonna turn off it's kind of like ransomware, but for like the devices in your house.
Right.
So instead of you not being able to use your computer, it'd be like, oh, you have like $300 worth of like groceries in your refrigerator, and we just shut it off. You should pay us $200 to get it back online. Like,
what a bizarre thought of ransom. It's like we're gonna turn off the lights and it'll be dark in your apartment until you give us a $5.
I guess turn off your TV. We'll shut down
Can't
your
watch TV.
That's so annoying.
Unless you pay us $50. Like,
but yeah, on the note of like just like hacking just for like causing mischief, I remember there was some like malware that you could download for like back in the day where it would like open and close like your friend's like their CD drive,
and it would make
computer.
like a fart sound.
Yeah, for like
I remember that.
Yeah,
I did that.
I put it on like
it
I put
wasn't
it on
hard.
like, a friend's computer.
Yeah,
like,
it was not hard at all.
A while back, just because it was really funny. Now I know that that's wrong, and don't hack, kids.
We should totally do like a PSA video with you, like a
don't hack
McGruff the crime dog outfit, just like don't hack. The more you know. Anyways, the point I was trying to get to earlier about e-commerce and transactions is, what are some of the better online money handling portals out there? I mean, I use PayPal. There's Venmo, of course. Right. Where are some of the most highly secured ones? And I know that's kind of a gray area.
Yeah, I mean, I use Venmo, and I actually don't use PayPal as often anymore, but I tend to use banks.
I mean, if you're trying to be
Chase bank to bank.
You can transfer your funds from bank to bank.
If you're trying to be really secure, I mean, I hate to endorse it, but just use like a cryptocurrency if you're really worried about like your security on that.
Yeah,
there are more than a few people who want you to discuss Bitcoin in detail, and I think that's a topic for another day.
That definitely is a topic for another day, for sure.
But yeah, if we're talking about like optimal security on something like that, but yeah, just PayPal is. I generally feel that any website that has HTTPS on it is essentially like secure enough for what you're doing. Unless your device is already compromised. Like, if you're talking about, like, can they pick, like, my credit card out of it? Like, either that website is, like, insecure or your device is insecure. And I bet, like, 9 out of 10 times, like, if something was stolen from you, it's your device.
Yeah. All right. So we are almost out of time.
Yep.
Let's leave it with a great topic from Michael Brown again. Can we finally have a discussion about downloading apps and software from proprietary app stores, Chrome, Windows, Apple, instead of downloading apps and software from the web? How much security really comes in play when you're going to a quote-unquote trusted outlet?
I think with Apple, they've done a really good job of preventing that.
I would say Google Play is a little bit more.
The standards are a lot lower, but I still think it's much safer than downloading straight up from like a third-party provider.
Yeah.
I know that in a lot of stories that I write about like scam like apps, like the back-to-school story that I had written about, like, oh, here's all these apps that are supposed to be for like back-to-school help, but it's actually malware. The majority of them are from like third-party like stores, and the issue is that it's not so much a U.S. issue, whereas it is an international issue. Like if I'm on an Android phone in somewhere in Asia.
I mean, the biggest thing is in China where the Google Play Store isn't available.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's where a lot
you
of
have all these third-party app stores that thrive.
Yeah, and I'll also say this, like when you were talking about like the banner ads with like all the toolbars and like Bonsai Buddy and all that stuff.
Bonsai Buddy, yes.
If you
That's
had
what his name was.
you had a Chromebook that doesn't allow that only lets you download from the Google like web store, like you would never have any of that on your device.
Yeah, but there's enough mess on the Google store to still be at risk.
But it doesn't come from a banner ad.
Touche.
Like you have to seek it out directly yourself to do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That is good advice, and unfortunately, we are out of time. Still more great questions. Maybe for another day, we'll put this in the back of our heads.
Definitely.
Should readdress smart locks. Should talk about Google Wallet and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Let's all pin these for another day. In the meantime, thanks everybody. Roger, you're going to take us out.
Yeah, if you liked anything you saw or heard here, check us out on CNET. Podcast is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Speedburner, Google Play Music, and the Amazon Echo. See y'all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, folks.